From Neural Newscast, this is your daily news briefing.
Neural Newscast Global. I'm Andrew Lindbeck. From the World Desk, here's what's new. A powerful typhoon battered the northern Philippines and is now heading toward Hong Kong, prompting mass evacuations and travel chaos. Let's hear from Monica Kellen.
Super Typhoon Ragasa slams the northern Philippines and moves toward Hong Kong. Authorities evacuate thousands from coastal towns and low-lying areas. Airlines cancel hundreds of flights and close key airports, disrupting regional travel. Ferries suspend service as waves climb and winds intensify. Schools and government offices shut in several provinces, and emergency crews pre-position food, water, and generators. Hong Kong issues storm warnings and urges residents to secure windows and stay indoors. Forecasters track Ragasa's path through the South China Sea, warning of life-threatening storm surge and widespread flooding.
Diplomats at the UN General Assembly are seeing a major push for Palestinian state recognition in New York. Here's Sarah Wheaton with more.
A wave of countries moves to recognize a Palestinian state as the UN General Assembly opens in New York. The United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and Portugal break decades of policy by granting recognition outside talks with Israel. France joins Belgium, Malta, San Marino, Andorra, and Luxembourg at a Saudi and French-led conference to do the same. The push meets fierce opposition from Israel and the United States. Leaders highlight the war in Gaza and West Bank settlement expansion as barriers to peace. Speeches in the general debate put Palestinian statehood at center stage.
Separate UN updates indicate more countries are poised to recognize Palestinian statehood, complicating Security Council pathways. President Vladimir Putin proposed a one-year extension to limit strategic nuclear arsenals with the United States. I'm joined by Thomas Golding.
Vladimir Putin proposes extending nuclear limits with the United States for one more year. The Russian president says Moscow does not seek a strategic arms race. His offer is narrow and temporary, focusing on capping deployed strategic warheads and delivery systems. It does not address newer weapons, verification gaps, or non-strategic nukes. The proposal aims to preserve stability while talks on a broader treaty continue. Washington weighs whether the short extension protects U.S. interests and allies. Putin frames it as a bridge. Let's avoid escalation, Putin said.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi granted a pardon to British-Egyptian activist Alaa Abdel Fattah, officials said. What's happening in government today? In UK politics, Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey urges his party to defeat Nigel Farage and pursue broad change.
This is NNC, Neural Newscast. We're here every day with reliable, fast-paced reporting that combines the speed of AI with the judgment of real people. Find our full archive at neuralnewscast.com.
Now, let's cover technology headlines. The U.S. and a tech company struck a deal forming a new TikTok joint venture that excludes a government equity stake. A look at jobs, markets, and money. Nvidia announced a huge investment plan aimed at OpenAI as AI data center competition heats up globally. Ethan Wells is here with more details.
Nvidia plans to invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI, escalating the AI data center race. The chipmaker aims to supply and deploy massive GPU systems as OpenAI builds new supercomputing capacity. The company's outlined plans to roll out roughly 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA-powered infrastructure. Investors respond, pushing NVIDIA shares higher. The move strengthens NVIDIA's hold on AI training chips and deepens its ties with ChatGPT's creator. It also pressures rivals and cloud providers to scale spending as demand for AI models accelerates.
The Department of Agriculture has ended its annual survey, tracking how many Americans struggle to get enough food. Sarah Wheaton has more on this.
The Department of Agriculture ends its long-standing annual survey that tracks food insecurity nationwide. The decision halts a key measure of how many Americans struggle to get enough to eat. Researchers warn the move could hide the impact of recent policy changes that reduce food aid. The survey has helped guide SNAP, school meals, and emergency food programs for years. Without it, lawmakers and states lose a benchmark for need and progress. USDA does not announce a replacement. One expert calls the survey a compass for anti-hunger efforts.
A federal trial will test the FTC's claim that Amazon misled shoppers into Prime using design tricks. Here's Jason Miller with more.
A federal trial in Seattle tests the FTC's case that Amazon misled shoppers into Prime. The agency says Amazon used dark patterns that nudged millions into paid memberships without clear consent. Amazon denies wrongdoing and calls Prime a clear value with easy cancellations. The case centers on sign-up and cancellation flows, including the Iliad process critics say is too long. The trial could force design changes, refunds, or penalties, and reshape how big platforms present subscriptions to consumers. This is Jason Miller for Neural Newscast.
From gadgets to breakthroughs, here's what's new. A federal judge will consider remedies that could reshape Google's ad tech business as an antitrust case returns to court. Here's Benjamin Carter with more.
A federal judge could disrupt Google's advertising business as a key antitrust case returns to court. The U.S. Justice Department seeks remedies to unwind Google's dominance in ad tech. At stake is how ads are bought, sold, and priced across the open web. Google's tools sit in the middle of that market, taking fees from both sides. A breakup or forced divestiture could lower costs for advertisers and publishers. It could also shift power toward competitors and change how websites earn revenue. This is Benjamin Carter for Neural Newscast.
Stories about our planet and its future. A judge allowed work on the Revolution Wind offshore project to proceed for now, preserving the status quo. I'm joined by Samuel Green.
A federal judge allows work on the $6.2 billion Revolution Wind project to proceed for now. The ruling follows litigation that had paused construction. The developer argues the pause threatens schedules, contracts, and jobs. The project plans to deliver offshore wind power to the Northeast grid. It involves new turbines, transmission lines, and onshore upgrades. The court sets further review on a fast track. The judge says the order preserves the status quo while legal issues play out.
A small Virginia island faces existential risk from sea level rise and could vanish within decades without major action. I'm joined by Stephen Summers.
Tangier Island, Virginia, faces disappearance within decades as sea levels rise in the Chesapeake Bay. About 400 residents live on 3 ridges that already flood during high tides and storms. Scientists project up to 2 feet of sea level rise by 2100 here, accelerating erosion that has eaten 2/3 of the island since 1850. The town seeks a seawall extension and marsh restoration to protect homes, the school, and the harbor. Mayor James Okor Eskridge says residents want time to adapt, not relocation.
Researchers warn wildfire smoke could cause tens of thousands of deaths in the U.S. by mid-century as fires increase. I'm joined by Amelia Richardson.
Wildfire smoke could cause tens of thousands of excess deaths in the United States by 2050. A national research team led by Minghao Qiu at Stony Brook University projects rising risk as a warmer, drier climate drives more and larger fires. The study links U.S. death records with smoke exposure, focusing on fine particulate matter, PM2.5, that reaches the bloodstream. Researchers say toxic smoke can linger for days and trigger deaths up to 3 years later. Quo calls the findings a warning for public health planning. This is Amelia Richardson for Neural Newscast.
Health trends and discoveries you should know. Some patients who received life-changing gene therapies later saw those treatments pulled by manufacturers, leaving families searching for solutions. Laura Navarro is here with more details.
Some patients finally get a gene therapy that stops their rare disease. Then the company pulls it. Drug makers often end a treatment when costs climb and patient numbers stay small. Families lose access, clinics halt dosing, and symptoms creep back. Doctors describe kids who improved, then regressed. Patients ask, what now? Advocates push for long-term funding, shared manufacturing, and coverage that keeps life-saving therapies on the shelf.
For a science update, here's what's new. NASA announced 10 new astronauts in its 2025 class for future lunar missions and eventual deep space flights. Now, Nathaniel Cohen joins us.
NASA unveils 10 new astronauts for its 2025 class, the agency's 24th group. The cohort trains for Artemis moon missions and future Mars expeditions. NASA says they will learn spacecraft systems, spacewalking, and survival skills over 2 years. Graduates can fly on Orion, commercial vehicles, and the International Space Station. The selection underscores NASA's push to return humans to the moon this decade and prepare for Mars.
A blind astrophysicist explains how she listens to data to study gravitational waves and broaden participation in physics. Let's turn to entertainment news. Italy has opened a major Fra Angelico exhibition reuniting dispersed masterpieces for the first time in years. Let's hear from Lydia Holmes.
Italy debuts a major Fra Angelico exhibition that reunites masterpieces by the Dominican friar and painter. The show highlights his blend of devout imagery and innovative color, light, and perspective. Curators assemble panels from dispersed altarpieces, early fresco sketches, and gilded predella scenes. Visitors trace his influence on Renaissance artists and sacred iconography. A curator calls him a bridge between medieval devotion and Renaissance vision, underscoring his enduring artistic legacy. This is Lydia Holmes for Neural Newscast.
That's our roundup for this hour. Stay with us for continuing coverage and the latest updates on these stories. Turning to Monica Kellen for details.
This is Monica Kellen for Neural Newscast.
This has been another Neural Newscast production. Join us again soon, and visit nnewscast.com to explore today's news as well as the past like never before. Neural Newscast combines real voice recordings with synthesized voices to enable prompt production without sacrificing quality. All content is generated using advanced AI algorithms developed by a human and undergoes fact-checking and human review prior to release. While we strive for factual, non-biased reporting and actively work to prevent AI hallucinations, AI-generated content can occasionally contain errors. Listeners are encouraged to verify critical information from trusted sources. For more details on our AI transparency policies, visit nnewscast.com.